Hi, I'm Donna, an OpenSciEd teacher. And today we're going to be going into lesson 4, which is part of the B.2 unit. This is a short lesson, but a really great one because students are going to get the answer to one of the questions that my students have asked me many times throughout this unit. Where did all those plants come from if there aren't any plants in the Arctic right now, or at least not as many as we would expect for the amount of peat that there is? So in today's lesson video, we're going to see how we got here, take a look at the lesson at a glance, highlight key moments, and go into management tips and tricks. Let's get started. How we got here. So during lesson 3, we figured out that temperature affects the rate of decomposition, which really is cellular respiration by decomposers, which explains why there is so much peat in the Arctic. In this lesson, we are wondering, why is there so much dead plant matter in the cold Arctic to start with? The lesson at a glance. So this is a problematizing lesson. It's only one day. Material preparation is 30 minutes. A lot of that's making copies. It is not a hands-on investigation. It does require devices, and there is an additional video looking at a photosynthesis simulation. The lesson at a glance has one sense-making loop, so let's see that in more detail. So sense-making loop 1, we start with an initial ideas discussion about what photosynthesis is and how the flow of energy and matter goes through plants. We conduct a photosynthesis card sort, and then we return to plant growth in the Arctic, having a whole class discussion about photosynthesis, solar energy, and temperatures in the Arctic, looking at how is it like right now, and then seeing how could it have been different in the past with that geological time reading. Students are going to figure out that increased solar radiation in the Arctic increased the potential for plants to capture and store chemical energy through photosynthesis. So what we figure out in this lesson, in the past, Earth was tilted closer to the sun, increasing solar radiation for plants to capture and store through photosynthesis. As solar radiation decreased, plants died and formed peat. Let's see those key moments. So key moment 3, or part 3, starts with the photosynthesis card sort. So this is after the initial ideas discussion about what photosynthesis is. Now we're going to see what matter and energy is part of this reaction. Students are going to figure out that plants take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen through photosynthesis. Students will use the cards to balance the photosynthesis equation, and they're going to figure out how photosynthesis connects to cellular respiration that they learned about from lesson 3. In part 4, we're going to return to plant growth in the Arctic. We're going to start with a whole class discussion. There are 2 images in the slideshow that will help facilitate this discussion, looking at the amount of UV rays, or the amount of solar radiation that is on different places for Earth, as well as looking at the amount of biomass, or how much plants are, and seeing how are they similar and how are they different. Students are going to figure out that the Arctic has a really low amount of solar radiation currently, that means there is less photosynthesis in the Arctic, and that there's more photosynthesis happening near the equator. And then they're making that connection that solar radiation causes photosynthesis, that you can't have photosynthesis without solar radiation. And if you don't have photosynthesis, you don't have plants or plants growing. And then does this explain why there is so much peat in the Arctic today? And a lot of my students are always saying, no, it doesn't. If we know that solar radiation causes photosynthesis, why is there so much peat in the Arctic? Which goes to part 5, where we're going to do a geologic time reading. And we're going to figure out through a small group discussion about the tilt of the Earth. We're going to figure out that 11,000 years ago, the tilt of the Earth positioned the Arctic to receive more direct sunlight, so it was tilted closer to the sun, or pointed more, I always say like pointed more directly towards the sun. And since there was more solar energy, there was more plant growth, which increased the amount of matter in the Arctic. And then over time, the Earth's tilt changed and tilted further away. So now the Arctic is getting less solar radiation now than it did in the past. So where do we go from here? We discovered that in the past, the tilt increased the amount of solar radiation in the Arctic, which increased plant growth. We wonder how we can investigate and collect data on the relationship between solar radiation and photosynthesis. How can we see that in an investigation? All right, material management tips and tricks. All right, tilt of the Earth can be really tough. I found that for a lot of my students, it was a pretty challenging idea to wrap our brains around. I have used in the past a lamp and a beach ball. The classic have a lamp shining one direction and then have the beach ball tilted towards and away. And then they look for where's it brighter, where's the more of a shadow. I also connect tilt to changing of the season. So getting it connected to something that they have experience with. And a lot of the times I'll bring up winter versus summer. If we have a sunny day in the winter versus a sunny day in summer, and let's say I have the exact same amount of sunlight happening for the hours that there's sunlight, why does the winter feel so much colder? And that has helped my students a lot in the past make that connection between tilt of the earth and how the angle of the solar rays really affects temperature and then plant growth and photosynthesis. So personal glossary management, we're going to co-construct the definition of photosynthesis, and we're going to encounter the word tilt. We're going to use the community agreement poster from previous lessons. And that is the end of lesson 4. Like I said at the beginning, this is a pretty quick lesson, but it really connects lesson 3 and really well to cellular respiration and photosynthesis and sets us up for that next investigation in lesson 5. I hope you have a great time with this lesson and you got this.